All right, guys. Last thing we're gonna cover today is extrovert sensing. You guys all have extrovert sensing in the bottom. This is what you guys all share, regardless of all your types being, very different from one another. The one thing you all share is the extrovert sensing in the bottom. I'm gonna get Avis to answer this first because Avis is the one that has to book it. Um, so Avis, even though you have double activated extrovert sensing in the bottom and you have high consume, can you talk about the fear of chaos, the fear of, you have like a plan and something, this stupid little sensory thing comes along the way and trips you up, like you have to do your laundry or some other BS, can you talk about like that tripping you up, or maybe it doesn't trip you up as much because you have double activate extrovert sensing? Like what's your experience like with like the fear of chaos and the sensory tripping you up?
I want to clarify just because I have double activated SE and consume and all that, that does not help with, being trigger or fear or anything. That's like totally two different things. You're just getting a little doses of fear all the time. And one thing jumping out of nowhere, it still freaks me out. It still create chaos, it's still overwhelming, still, I still blank out. It's just I guess because of our exposure is a little bit better. Like you don't get blindsided or hit as much that way, but it is still something that I try to manage. But in a way, like how do I try not to get myself in that situation as much? Uh, um, even even like example of I always have to like if I'm the first in a new situation, like all this new environment is gonna be like I don't know what's gonna jump out to me. So I that's what I mentioned about I don't like being the first out of the line. I like to serve the first person going out and see what happening to them. Yeah, and I was even like I was on the ferry coming back this weekend, and I was actually the first in line in the ferry, and I was like freaking out a little bit, telling my boyfriend, I was like, can you just tell me what the people with the flag thing tell me where to go? Because what if like they direct me and I guess I just go into like, I don't know which line to go. And he just looked at me like, yeah, that one. He'd tell you could go to that one. I said, yeah, tell me again. So I just need someone to like back me up and um because there's when there's so many things happening, it's like there's six line open and this guy just waving his thing at this line. I don't know what direction he's waving at. You just tell me, okay? It's just things like that. So I would and I plan it and and hopefully have someone, you know, help me out in that kind of situation. And I'm not afraid to admit that now anymore. It's just like it is what it is. It's more embarrassing
Relatable.
if I actually go onto the wrong lane. So
I like how you have like the feminine sensory in the bottom, so you're like more wimpy about it. You're like, please, I beg you, try. Please tell me what to do because I
that's
don't want this to happen. Like so. Uh, all right, I'm gonna go with Lindsay next. Lindsay, are you the person that's in the front of the line then, and then you didn't do your research, or no? Like, what's
No,
happening with you?
I relate so much to Avis's energy. Like as she's telling the story, like I feel like in my body, like the same feeling that she would feel. Like it's such a relatable trigger. And I can like being visual too. I can like see the ferry and I can see the person waving and also not knowing like which direction are they pointing the thing that I'm supposed to go down. It's like I can feel like that same it's a very like it's the best word really for it. It's so triggering. But it's so relatable with like everything. And I'm not the first person in line. I do also want someone going in front of me so I can just be, okay, let me just see how this is running because I don't want to just go with it. I don't want to have to just like figure it out on the fly and like stumble over myself. I'm also feminine sensory too, right? And I think a lot of times when our first function, it's like you're constantly doing things related to it and you don't really see it because it's like that's just how you think, that's just how your brain fires from its very initial state. And so I think my whole life I didn't realize I was constantly trying to prevent chaos in different ways just by how I was living. And then it's just like, oh, does no one, other people don't do that, right? And then you start to learn about type and you realize like, oh, okay, these are the things that I'm always doing. Oh, that's different than what everyone else is doing, right? But where I've seen it more is when I'm trying to be more conscious of like, what are my patterns and what is my fear as associated with that pattern? Because I think that's where you really narrow down in on what is NI doing to prevent the SE chaos, right? And I realize it's very hard for me to move out of certain patterns because I am afraid of that disrupting like the environmental whatever and the ripple effect that can have. But one thing I noticed the other day is that there's this place that I go where I pay for parking and it's $3, right? And before I even leave my house, I have like my $3 bills like out of my wallet in a separate area in a compartment so that when I get to the place where you have to pay the $3, it's like I have it right available and I can just take it out and give it to the guy. And so like before I leave my house, I have my little $3 segmented, right? And I realized, I've been doing this for like over a year and I realized like, this is a pattern I have. I'm always segmenting my $3 out. And I was thinking about putting myself in the head of a different type, right? And I was thinking of putting myself in the head of someone with like SE first, right? Like an ESTP, for instance. And I'm like, is there ever a time where an ESTP is like segmenting out their $3, before they even get in the car to go to the place so that they can take out their $3 and give it to the guy? I'm like, no, because it's like they're not worried about the fact that like they open up their wallet and they can't find the money and then they drop something on the floor and then all of a sudden like the whole like thing is like the change thing is falling out and like they're not worried about like that cluster that like happens, and it's like I'm so inherently aware of that like in the inner core of my being that it's like I'm not thinking about the fact that I'm segmenting my $3 beforehand, but I'm just doing it because deep down I'm like so afraid of like floundering around with my wallet when I get there, and not just being able to like, go and move with the flow and like, oh, it's okay. Like I'll go find like it's not a big. I can't imagine it not being a big deal to like open up my wallet and like not flounder around with something in my bag, And so that's where I really see that triggering effect is like, can I imagine like going to the ferry and like it not like feeling like a big deal to like not know where the direction thingy is pointing? Like I can't imagine what that feels like for that not to feel like a big deal, and I think that's where you really narrow in on the trigger is like, is everyone feeling this way? If not, how do I basically reverse it on myself? So
You lost $5 five marbles preparing for that $3 in your car. Which
yep, exactly.
Yeah, terrible marble allocation. Go ahead, Avis.
Yeah, there's no other way except just prepping your SE. Like there's just either you gather more information beforehand, you get your new place, or you just keep doing the same ferry trip until like you're like, oh, this is home, this is fine. I and also be comfortable with the chaos. That's the only thing that I find that works. Yeah. And that's okay. That's just who we are.
That's so IJ. Like you have to repeat the same experience over and over again to be like
okay.
to feel smug about it. We're like, yeah, I'm like I totally got this, like
And then
I got ferries on lock.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
And then they changed the entry. Now it's like 3 lines, and you're like, no.
I can see in front of the ferry now. Avis like, I know how this works, guys. I know how it works. You can ask me. I know which is the lineup, and then
No, I won't say because I'm last.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Okay. Yeah, yeah. And then obviously, things change. They're like, actually, they changed the lineup already. It goes here, and then
See, the thing is, if I actually say it and then someone will tell me, then I will realize. The thing is, because I don't blast it out, and then when it actually happens, right? Nobody would tell me the situation that things change. So that's kind of like the double-edged sword.
I want to pass it on next to Rachel. Rachel, your chaos is coming. Avis, you gotta bounce, right?
Sorry, yeah, I gotta run. So thanks for me.
Thanks for coming,
Avis. Bye.
Yeah, nice to see you again. So oh my god, the 4 boxes are different now. That's true.
Yes.
Like another chaos happened. Rachel, your chaos is coming from the tribe. So how do you So it's a little bit different from these guys because like
yeah, I was thinking that I didn't have quite so much of the fairy stuff thing going on. I think I relate to SI more than I do to like my OI is fairly strong, so I could see myself as NI or SI really. I'm good at like forms and I don't know, physical surroundings isn't too bad. Um, but I do worry about missing information a lot. And I think especially when it comes to people. And there's always like, what if I'm missing something? What if I don't know something about this person? Or what if they don't know something about me? Or I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just a bunch of fear. I understood what Avis was saying, but she did say small hits of fear, constant small hits of fear. Um, there's definitely a bunch of anxiety in my life, but yeah, I don't know if it's quite the same as that though. I took some notes here too, like Samantha was doing. It does take a lot of my energy though. Like if I have to gather in some sensory information or something, I kind of have to stop everything. Like I can't talk if I'm doing that because it takes so much of my focus and energy to actually take in stuff. And on a day-to-day level, I'm horrifically unobservant. My partner's constantly saying, "Hey, did you see that?" And I never see it ever. And he's shocked because it was big and obvious and right there. And I just wasn't taking it in because I have to sort of specifically focus on it if I want to actually take it in. Some of that might be a low consume thing too. I'm not sure, but a lot of these things are kind of interrelated. They all connect in different ways, all the different parts and the different coins, and can have a similar thing from different aspects working together. Anyway, what else did I say here? I said something, I don't know what that means. I forgot.
Your notes is causing chaos now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess yeah. I mean, it's all tied in the missing play, the low SE. It's my social issues are the things that are really striking me right now and just how uncomfortable I feel. And like yeah, I'm not sure how to explain it better. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So I just wanted to point out, Rachel, you have double masculine SF consume, right? So I think that's why you
Yeah,
have the same issues as Lindsay. Like when
right.
Lindsay was talking about her like freaking wallet and things are gonna fall out, like all the money in the floor and stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds more like a feminine sensory issue. If
Yeah.
she has no control over like the physical
Yeah.
world, and then but like you have double masculine in that realm, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not quite the same. Yeah, like I mean I do organize ahead of time like Lindsay. Like I am like, okay, I need to pay these $3, so here's my $3, put it in my wallet. But so the OI is still pretty strong, but I don't think it's quite the same fear of it being in the wallet spilling all over the place. Just a little bit
The
more like
sensory the sensory isn't quite as liquid as it is to me. So you have
yeah,
like it's
exactly.
like you plan the same way, but like you can kind of manage it in the moment with like a little bit more finesse.
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas it's
yeah.
like
For
it's
sure.
literally like I'm like everything's liquid, like that's how
Yeah.
it feels.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah. You sounded like you were almost like an EP there. You're like, oh yeah, I planned for it, whatever. It's not a big deal. It's like you
Right.
got like a coolness to it, like when you were planning for like the money thing. Let's say you have to pay for like a toll or whatever. Well, Lindsay's
Right.
getting like really weird about it. It's like, oh, something bad's gonna happen, guys. And then she sees the
Yeah.
tribe too, right? Like, guys, something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, there was some before back in the day when I was doing Myers-Briggs stuff. I always thought I was an INTP. Um, And I mean, it's very obvious to me now that I'm OI for sure. But I think there's little elements of that part of things that did make me think I was, and partly possibly my upbringing. I had a very chaotic family, and I sort of had to get used to just chaos, physical chaos especially. Um, yeah.
All right. We'll move on to Samantha next. Samantha, you're like Avis, you're a glass lizard also, but you have masculine SE in the bottom, double activated also.
Sure
So,
do.
but what's going on? Do you have the same fears as everyone else here when it comes to chaos, or what's your experience been like with that?
Yeah, I think my chaos is mostly seen in time management. Like I don't sorry, I'm like sick. Okay, so I don't like I'll think time to me is more abstract than linear. So like I'll have 15 minutes. 15 minutes to me tells me that I can do like I can wash the dishes, also do my hair. Like it's terrible. I'm always constantly late to everything and I'm kind of tired of laughing about it. Like it's actually getting to be a serious problem for me. But I was just going to share like although I am masculine SE, I think I'm more I don't know, maybe in comparison, I'm definitely more about like jumping into it. Like I'm like, no, let's do it. So I didn't drive until I was 22, which is terrible. But once I got started, I'm pretty comfortable with it and I'm confident in my driving skill. I didn't learn how to swim until I was like or probably around the same time because I started realizing that Essie was like this demon haunting me. So I learned how to swim, but I was also gonna say I tried doing like different things. I've been trying to do a different thing every 6 months just to kind of put myself in the on the line and get comfortable being uncomfortable. I don't know. I subscribe to a lot of the Jocko stuff and a lot of like the Gary Vee situations, like very masculine men, but I did like jujitsu for a bit there and I like had anxiety attacks like every time before class, but I would do it and I wasn't the best at it, but I was just at the end like just proud that I was getting myself out there. Also like, the gym and I do that still. But I don't know, just I feel like I'm much more comfortable doing a lot of these things being masculine SE and I definitely push myself to try to do it a lot more. But the chaos is still there and again like me being late is probably like my biggest issue with myself right now. Mm-hmm.
I empathize with a lot of that, except I feel like you have more energy than me, but there's a lot of that feeling like, hey, let's go take karate for a while. And I don't know, different things.
Wait, did you take karate, Rachel? That's kind of cool.
I did, yeah.
That's
Yeah, it was
awesome.
really fun. I liked it. It's a
I
while
love
ago now, but yeah.
I love that. That's so cool.
That seems like the masculine SE and the feminine SE is super different. Like just hearing you guys talk, just like it's like night and day difference. Um,
Hey, she's still doing karate though, so
Not anymore. I haven't done it for a while now, but I want to get back to some sort of martial arts because it's quite fun. I really like it.
I feel like masculine sensory, like I just have more confidence in them like doing something than if I were to if I were to like I feel like I could hand either one of them a cup of water and like they would both like hold on to it and it wouldn't fall. Whereas like if I were handing a cup of water to myself, I'd be like, you ready? Ready? Don't drop it. Okay. Like that's how I always feel dealing with myself in the sensory. Whereas it's like I feel like I feel the confidence of just masculine sensory in general. Even if it's a demon, it just kind of feels like more aware. It's I mean stuff we already know, but it's wild.
but as long as
Yeah,
it's
it's
in your
cool.
IJ box, you can still do it. I'm sorry, Rachel. Go ahead.
No, I was only gonna say that's cool. That's the only thing. My FI was just like, ooh, that's cool. I like that sentence. So that was all.
I was gonna say I watched a video once of you, like Joe. I think you said like somebody was drowning and you like went to go save them or something. I feel like, am I wrong or is that like SE? Like I would not like again like when stuff happens, like when something in the real world like hits shit hits the fan, like I step out, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I freak out. I'm not usually the person that steps into the action role, you know. I don't know. I still think that's pretty cool and that's pretty SE.
It definitely is, but totally like in my IJ box. Like that was like my summer job for I think like 10 years, was like being a lifeguard, and then training like lifeguards, because I had to, my parents forced me into swimming at a young age, long story, but I didn't even like swimming, but I was kind of stuck swimming anyway, and I ended up doing that as a job. And when I went to that lake that I was talking about, I said beforehand, I was like, there's so many people here and there's not a lifeguard. I was like, someone's gonna drown while I'm here, watch. And like, I knew it was too statistically, like it had to happen, based on the ratio of people. Like there was no other way. And I couldn't believe that there wasn't a lifeguard there, because I'm like, these people don't know how to swim. And like sure enough, however long later. So I was already so like prepped and ready for it. It was already so much in my box that it was like easy to go and execute. But like if it was an area where like I didn't have like a million reps doing that kind of a thing, then yeah, it would be very not okay.
I wonder if what are the three: fight, flight, and freeze? I've always thought freeze was the one that was most appropriate for me, because if it is something new, chaos happening, it's just like, ah, I don't I don't know what to do. This is a new bad thing in real time.
That you didn't like rehearse in your mind. Yeah, freeze for me for sure. I'm amazed. And I think in my last interview with Kendrick, that's what I said. Like I surround myself by EPs because I'm in awe of how like something happens and they're like, like they kind of know what to do, even if it's not the best, like they do something. I literally will stand there and it's so frustrating.
For some reason, when Lindsay was telling the lifeguard story, I played like I pictured her. There's like a background music all of a sudden. It's like, this is my moment, like like to show people, how good I am with this SE stuff. Like it's my
I
time.
was like, yeah, I was so locked and loaded. Like I called out the situation in advance. I was like, okay, here's the NI prediction of exactly what's gonna happen. And like sure enough, and I'm like, haha, now I'm ready.
Yeah, I can even picture you running with like an American flag. It's like, fuck yeah, like this is
In my head, it looked a lot like that. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but you know what? As like crazy as you guys with like the extrovert sensing in the bottom, like as an IJ, I think you guys have like superpowers that as like me as an EP, like I'm always in awe. I'm like, how do you guys plan your life so narrowly? Like you can achieve your one goal. Yeah, you're screwing up everything else. Just kidding. But this one thing, you guys are like amazing at it. Because like there's a bunch of stuff I'm good at, but I'm not like a super, like moving in a more linear path as you guys are. So I think that's like a superpower that you guys have. I think that's definitely something that I'm like envious of. I'm like, whoa, like IJ power, like INTJ. Like I have so many INTJ friends. It's like I don't know, like as an ENFP, like you guys like just fall into my like life. Like I don't even know how. Like I work as a personal trainer. Oh, I have so many like INTJ clients. What the hell? Where do these guys come from? Like my girlfriend's an INTJ. I'm like, what the hell? Like, where's all this INTJ? You guys were supposed to be super rare too, right? Supposedly, like in the olden days. But I'm like, there's so many of you guys. Like I'm like, they're falling to my lap, and I'm like, yeah. So so yeah. Definitely like natural synergy there. Like I know Lindsay's wife is an ENFP. Sorry, husband is an ENFP. So like, yeah. All right. Before we wrap this up, does anyone have any last minute questions for anyone else here in the panel?
Yes.
Nope.
I would ask. So we're always like trying to foresee like an outcome um in the fear of something happening. I just had a question for both of you. Like what feeling are you in fear of having? Like what feeling are you kind of running away from? If at all.
It's a very good question. I'm going to think about it for a minute.
I think it is like just like the feeling that we're like that I feel like I'm running away from is that it's just like the feeling of like not having everything under wraps, is the best way I can say it. Is I kind of have this umbrella, this TE umbrella of like everything generally in this spectrum is like, and I on top of it, like it's already been kind of like I have the best spectrum of control that I can of most situations that I can come across, and then having something that is counter to that, or where I don't feel like I have that level of grip on this a situation, is it's like immediate, like I don't want to be unprepared, I don't want to feel as though like something can slip through my fingers, because like I wasn't kind of prepared to manage some kind of life happening or situation or whatever. And so I guess it's like always needing to feel as though I have like things like under wraps, like to the best of like my extent of subjective, like decision of like what I believe that to be, so.
And if you didn't have like the exact, if you didn't have the exact outcome that you were hoping for, would your fear be that the tribe is going to like think of you as unprepared or judge you? Or is like the judgment coming from like you're not doing what you said you would, or what you promised yourself you would?
I don't know. I don't really feel like the any kind of like judgment from the tribe. Like I think generally people are okay with however things kind of end up. And usually my standard for whatever it is much higher than other people's would be for like what under wraps looks like. But it's more like I don't like the feeling within my body of like being like, oh crap, like I was not prepared for this. Like to me that's like the worst, or like I didn't have the right footing in this type of a situation to be able to move forward the way that I wanted to, because I was like, it's just like I rarely put myself in those kind of spots, and like that feeling of having to be there is just so uncomfortable. So yeah, I think I'm always trying to like make sure that I'm positioned the best way possible. There was a childhood psychologist who like had done some like written up some stuff on me when I was a kid, and he said that Lindsay, like basically Lindsay doesn't want to do things in which she doesn't feel like she can execute them with like perfection. Like she's not interested in doing things that she doesn't think that she could do what her mind says is perfectly, and so it's kind of like that same thing through life, I guess, which isn't obtainable anyway. So it's, doesn't really make sense.
I'm trying to pin down what it is for me. It is definitely different than you, Lindsay. I'm not much of a perfectionist. I'm pretty good at just being kind of, I'm getting there, And I am really afraid of people's judgment as well. But I don't think not quite because Samantha, you were saying, are you afraid of the tribe's judgment when it comes to like they'll look down on you for not being prepared? Yeah. I'm trying to like put myself in the place of being afraid, and it's a little tricky, but I don't think it's quite that. But okay, I'm gonna switch tracks for a second. What Lindsay was saying about not being on top of things, though, I am like for sure. Like I want to be. I like experiencing new things and trying new things, but I have to have some sort of foothold in order to play with that. And I'm afraid I hate the feeling of it just being totally open, I guess, totally. I'm just like, it feels like I'm sort of spinning around in space or something, like there's nothing to grab hold of. And so I want to have things set enough and be in control enough that I have a firm footing. And then from there, I can kind of explore and have fun and try new things and whatever. I don't know, does that kind of make sense? Answer it a little bit.
Yeah, your abstract answers make sense to me. I can fill in the dots.
I like how you said it that way. All right, we'll wrap up the interview. Lindsay, you have something to say real quick?
No, I was just gonna say I have to get going in a second. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we'll wrap up the interview here. So everyone, thanks for coming out and sharing more about yourself. And Samantha, I think your sleep lasts, your health is dying, so we need to wrap it up too. So yeah, take care, and we'll see you around the group.
Thanks, Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you
Nice
guys.
meeting you guys. Bye.